before the stars had names, before the moon learned to glow, before even the idea of bedtime existed, there was a whisper, not a loud whisper, not a dramatic one, just a soft, cosmic sigh, like the universe exhaling after a very long nap it didn't to know it had taken. Welcome, dear dreamer, to the beginning of everything, or at least, the beginning according to the ancient Persians, who believed the universe wasn't born with a bang, but with a balance, a gentle tug of war between light and darkness, good and evil, tea and slightly oversteeped tea. This is not your average mythology. There are no thunder-hurling gods with six-pack abs, no winged horses galloping across the sky, no dramatic betrayals involving golden apples. No, Persian mythology is quieter, older, sleepier. It's the kind of story that unfolds like a scroll made of starlight, slow, deliberate, and just mysterious enough to keep you listening until your eyelids betray you. Tonight, we begin with nothing, not even a proper nothing, just a kind of pre-nothing, a blank canvas so blank it hadn't even considered being a canvas yet. And then, something stirred. Not a god, not a creature, just awareness. A flicker, a maybe, a From that flicker came two forces. One was light, pure, radiant, annoyingly optimistic. The other was darkness, brooding, chaotic, and probably listening to ambient thunderstorm playlists. These two forces didn't fight. Not yet. First, they just noticed each other. Like two neighbors peeking over the fence, wondering who planted the cosmos in their backyard. The light would become Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, the bringer of order, truth, and cosmic bedtime routines. The darkness would become Ahriman, the destructive spirit, the inventor of anxiety, bad dreams, and socks that disappear in the laundry. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Tonight, we linger in the hush before the story begins, in the pause between inhale and exhale, in the whisper before time. So lie back. Let your thoughts drift like ancient clouds over forgotten mountains, and prepare to meet the gods who shaped the stars. Slowly, sleepily, and with just enough drama to keep you curious. Because Persian mythology isn't just a story. It's a lullaby written in fire and shadow. And if you've made it this far, without drifting off completely, don't forget to like and subscribe for more sleepy mythology stories. And let me know in the comments, where in the world are you listening from tonight? I'd love to know which corner of the cosmos you're dreaming in. If the universe were a bedtime story, Ahura Mazda would be the one tucking it in, whispering, "Don't worry, little cosmos. I've got this." Long before alarm clocks, deadlines, and existential dread, there was light, not the kind that flickers from a fluorescent bulb or glows from your phone at 3 a.m. No, this was primordial light, the kind that hums with wisdom, glows with purpose, and never forgets to floss. This light had a name, Ahura Mazda. Now, don't let the fancy title fool you. Ahura Mazda wasn't some flashy show-off. He didn't ride chariots across the sky or throw lightning bolts for fun. He was calm, collected, the kind of cosmic being who probably alphabetized his stars and color-coded his galaxies. Ahura Mazda was the wise lord, the supreme deity of Zoroastrianism, the ancient Persian religion that believed the universe was a moral playground, and every soul had a role to play. He represented truth, order, and goodness. Basically, he was the divine equivalent of a warm cup of chamomile tea. But here is the twist. Ahura Mazda didn't create the world with a snap of his fingers. He thought it into being. That's right, He used pure thought, no hammers, no blueprints, just cosmic mindfulness. Somewhere, a meditation app is very jealous. He imagined the sky, the earth, the waters, the plants, the animals, and yes, even humans. And he gave each creation a purpose, a job, a little cosmic to-do list. Not because he was bossy, but because he believed in free will. He wanted his creations to choose goodness, not be programmed for it. But of course, every good story needs a little tension, a little drama, a little darkness. Enter Ahriman, the destructive spirit, the cosmic party pooper, the one who looked at Ahura Mazda's beautiful blueprint and said, what if I added some chaos? But we'll get to him in the next chapter. Tonight, we stay with the light, with the quiet brilliance of Ahura Mazda, who didn't shout to be heard, but whispered truth into the fabric of reality. He was the original bringer of balance, the first cosmic librarian, the divine dreamer who believed that even in a universe full of shadows, light could still win, slowly, gently, and with a really good bedtime story. Every good bedtime story needs a villain. But Persian mythology didn't settle for a villain with a cape. It gave us Ahriman, the original cosmic grump. If Ahura Mazda was the warm blanket of the universe, then Ahriman was the cold draft sneaking under the door. He wasn't born. He didn't emerge from a flower or hatch from a cosmic egg. He just was, like a bad mood that shows up uninvited, like the feeling when you stub your toe in the dark and suddenly question everything. Ahriman, also known as Ahriman, was the embodiment of chaos, deceit, and destruction, not because he had a tragic backstory or unresolved childhood trauma. No, he simply chose to be bad. He looked at Ahura Mazda's beautiful blueprint of truth and order and said, what if I scribbled all over it with existential dread? He didn't want balance. He wanted sabotage. He didn't want to play the game. He wanted to flip the board, scatter the pieces, and blame the cat. Where Ahura Mazda created with thought, Ahriman corrupted with impulse. He whispered lies into the ears of mortals. He invented disease, decay, and the kind of dreams that make you wake up wondering if your teeth really did fall out. But here must the curious part. Persian mythology doesn't treat Ahriman as a permanent fixture. He's powerful, yes. Dangerous, absolutely. But he's also doomed. Eventually, light wins. Truth triumphs. The cosmic grump gets out-grumped by destiny. Still, for now, he's here, lurking in the shadows, stirring the pot, making sure bedtime isn't too peaceful. Creation stories are usually loud, explosions, thunder, divine drama. But in Persian mythology, the universe began like a nap, quiet, round, and slightly mysterious. Before there were mountains, oceans, or even mildly confused humans, there was an egg. Not the kind you scramble, not the kind you dye for spring festivals. This was the cosmic egg, a sacred, shimmering sphere of potential. It didn't crack open with a bang. It didn't hatch a phoenix or a dragon. It just existed, floating in the void like a sleepy idea waiting for its alarm clock. Inside this egg was everything: light and darkness, time and space, dreams and nightmares. It was the universe's first attempt at multitasking, and it was doing it while half asleep. Ahura Mazda, the wise lord of light, gazed upon this egg with the calm satisfaction of someone who had just finished organizing their divine sock drawer. He knew what was inside. He had imagined it all, but he also knew that cracking it open too soon would be like waking a baby before it's ready. Cosmic tantrums are no joke, so he waited. Meanwhile, Angra Mainyu, the grumpy god of chaos, lurked nearby, tapping his metaphorical foot, muttering things like, "Why is everything so peaceful? Where's the drama? Where's the existential dread?" Eventually, the egg began to stir, not violently, just a gentle wobble, like a yawn from the center of everything. And then, slowly, sleepily, it opened. Out came the sky, stretching like a sleepy cat. Then the earth, rolling out like a soft blanket. Then water, trickling like a dream you forget halfway through. And finally, fire, not the destructive kind, but the sacred flame, the divine spark, the original nightlight. Each element took its place, not with urgency, but with grace. Persian mythology didn't rush. It unfolded like a bedtime story, told by someone who knows you're already half asleep. And so, the world was born, not with chaos, not with noise, but with a great cosmic snooze, a gentle awakening into order, balance, and the promise of light. If Ahura Mazda were the head of a celestial household, the Amesha Spentas would be the quiet roommates who water the plants, fold the towels, and keep the universe from falling apart. Now that the world had cracked open like a cosmic egg, and light had begun to stretch its limbs, Ahura Mazda realized something important. Even the wisest being in the universe could use a little help. So, he dreamed up 7 divine companions. Not warriors, not rebels, but virtues. Living, breathing, glowing embodiments of goodness. They were called the Amesha Spentas, which roughly translates to bounteous immortals, though they sound more like a very polite jazz ensemble. Each one had a job, a domain, a vibe. Together, they formed the spiritual backbone of Persian mythology, the original dream team of cosmic order. Let's meet them, slowly, sleepily, one by one. 1. Vohu Mana. Good mind. The gentle whisper in your head that says, maybe don't yell at the goat today. He represents kind thoughts, compassion, and mental clarity. Basically, the voice of reason, but with a very soft voice. 2. Asha Vahishta. Best truth. She's the embodiment of truth, order, and cosmic alignment. If the universe had a bedtime routine, she'd be the one making sure the stars brushed their teeth. 3. Kshatra Vairya. Desirable dominion. The protector of just rule and noble power. He's like a sleepy king who rules not with a sword, but with fairness and a very comfortable throne. 4. Spenta Armaiti. Holy devotion. The goddess of love, patience, and earth. She's the one who reminds you to breathe, to be kind, and to maybe plant something once in a while. 5. Horvatat. Wholeness. She governs health, completeness, and water. Think of her as the divine spa therapist of the cosmos, soothing, flowing, and always hydrated. 6. Amaritat. Immortality. The guardian of plants, longevity, and eternal life. She's the reason trees grow slowly, and why naps feel like tiny eternities. 7. Spenta Mainyu. Holy Spirit. Not one of the original 6, but often considered the creative force of Ahura Mazda himself. He's the spark, the breath, the divine aha that keeps the universe inspired. Together, these 7 sleepy virtues don't fight battles or throw tantrums. They guide, nurture, and whisper. They're the gentle forces that help humans choose good over evil, truth over lies, and bedtime over binge watching. Some gods roar, some gods thunder. Mithra just shows up quietly, like sunrise slipping under your eyelids, before alarm clocks, before coffee, before the rooster even considered a career in wake-up calls. There was Mithra. He didn't burst onto the scene. He didn't demand attention. He simply arrived, with the dawn, soft, steady, glowing like a promise kept. In Persian mythology, Mithra is the god of light, truth, and contracts, not the boring kind with fine print and legal jargon. These were cosmic contracts, sacred bonds between beings sealed not with signatures, but with trust. Mithra was the divine notary of the universe, the celestial witness to every handshake, every vow, every whispered promise made under starlight. If you said you'd do something, Mithra was the one who remembered, gently, patiently, like a friend who never forgets your birthday. But he wasn't just about paperwork. Mithra was also the guardian of light. Not the blinding kind, but the kind that warms your face in the morning and makes shadows behave. He rode across the sky in a chariot pulled by white horses, scattering darkness like breadcrumbs for the sun to follow. People loved Mithra. They built temples for him, sang hymns to him. Even the Romans borrowed his name and made him a star in their own mythology. But in Persia, he remained the quiet force behind every sunrise, the whisper that said, "It's a new day. Try again." He didn't punish. He didn't shout. He simply watched. And when someone broke a promise, Mithra didn't rage. He just dimmed a little, like a disappointed lamp. If the universe ever needed a spa day, Anahita would be the one drawing the bath, lighting the candles, and whispering, "Relax, I've got this." In the mythological landscape of ancient Persia, where gods often wielded light and shadow like cosmic chess pieces, there was one goddess who didn't bother with battles or brooding. She flowed. Her name was Anahita, the radiant goddess of waters, fertility, and purity. She didn't arrive with thunder. She didn't stomp across the heavens. She simply trickled into existence, like a sacred spring bubbling up from the heart of the earth. Anahita was the divine embodiment of life-giving water, rivers, rain, dew, and the kind of mist that makes mountains look like they're dreaming. She nourished the land, soothed the soul, and reminded mortals that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is a gentle stream. But don't mistake her softness for weakness. Anahita was revered as a warrior goddess too, riding a chariot pulled by 4 white horses named Wind, Rain, Cloud, and Sleet. Basically, she was the weather's personal trainer. She was also the guardian of fertility, healing, and women's strength. Her temples were places of cleansing, renewal, and quiet awe. People bathed in her waters, not just to wash, but to reconnect with nature, with spirit, with a part of themselves that still believed in magic. And yes, she had a flair for elegance. Her robes were said to shimmer with gold and gems. Her presence was like stepping into a warm bath after a long day of cosmic chaos. Some battles shake the heavens. Others just shuffle the stars around, like sleepy roommates arguing over the thermostat. Now that we've met the radiant Ahura Mazda and the grumpy Angra Mainyu, it's time to talk about their eternal conflict, the cosmic tug-of-war that defines Persian mythology. But don't expect explosions. Don't expect dramatic sword fights or gods yelling in slow motion. This isn't that kind of battle. This is the battle of light and slightly less light. Why slightly less? Because even darkness in Persian mythology isn't pure evil. It's more like a stubborn fog that refuses to clear, a cosmic mood swing, a divine sulk. Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, stands for truth, order, and light. He creates with thought, guides with virtue, and prefers things tidy. Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit, stands for chaos, deceit, and darkness. He corrupts with impulse, whispers lies, and leaves his cosmic laundry everywhere. Their battle isn't fought with weapons, it's fought with choices. Every time a human chooses kindness over cruelty, truth over lies, tea over chaos, Ahura Mazda wins a little. Every time someone chooses selfishness, destruction, or forgets to recycle, Angra Mainyu does a tiny victory dance, probably offbeat. This cosmic conflict plays out in every moment, every thought, every sleepy decision. It's not about who's stronger, it's about who's more persuasive. And spoiler alert, Ahura Mazda plays the long game. But here's the dreamy twist. Persian mythology believes that light will win, eventually, slowly, like a sunrise that takes its time. The world will be purified, evil will be defeated, and Angra Mainyu will be gently escorted out of the cosmic building. Until then, the battle continues, quietly, patiently, like two ancient forces playing chess with stars. So tonight, as you drift off, imagine this gentle war unfolding in your dreams. Let Ahura Mazda's light wrap around you like a blanket. Let Angra Mainyu's shadows fade into the corners. And remember, every good choice you make is a tiny victory for the light. Some bridges connect cities, others connect souls. The Chinvat Bridge connects everything you've ever done to everything that comes next. In the quiet folds of Persian mythology, there lies a bridge, not made of stone, not built by engineers, but woven from truth, memory, and the soft sigh of the soul. It's called the Chinvat Bridge, the bridge of judgment, the cosmic crosswalk between the world of the living and the realm beyond. And like all good bridges, it has rules and a very particular vibe. When a soul leaves the body, gently, like steam rising from a warm cup, it approaches the Chinvat Bridge. But this isn't a toll bridge. You don't pay with coins. You pay with your choices. Every thought, every action, every moment you chose kindness over cruelty, honesty over deceit, naps over unnecessary drama, it all gets tallied, not by a stern accountant, but by divine judges who read your life like a bedtime story. If your soul is light, full of good deeds, gentle words, and a healthy respect for recycling, the bridge widens. It becomes smooth, glowing, easy to cross, like walking on moonlight. But if your soul is heavy, weighed down by selfishness, lies, and too many skipped apologies, the bridge narrows. It becomes sharp, treacherous, like trying to tiptoe across a cosmic tightrope with socks on. And if you fall, you don't fall forever. You simply descend into a realm where you face your choices, where you learn, where you grow. Persian mythology doesn't believe in eternal punishment. It believes in cosmic correction, like a divine teacher saying, "Let's try that again." But here's the comforting part. The Chinvat Bridge isn't just for the dead. It's for the living too. Every day, with every choice, you walk it. You balance between light and shadow, between who you are and who you're becoming. Not all spirits haunt. Some just hover nearby, whispering, "You've got this," even when you don't. In the quiet corners of Persian mythology, where stars blink like sleepy eyes, and the wind hums ancient lullabies, there live the Fravashis, guardian spirits with a soft spot for humanity. They're not ghosts, not angels, not nosy cosmic supervisors. They're more like spiritual backup, invisible companions who walk beside you, even when you think you're walking alone. Each person, according to Zoroastrian belief, has a Fravashi. It's your higher self, your divine twin, the version of you that always chooses kindness, always remembers birthdays, and never forgets to water the plants. Fravashis aren't loud. They don't shout advice or throw signs from the sky. They whisper, gently, like a breeze nudging you toward the better choice. Like a feeling in your chest that says, maybe don't send that angry email. But they're not just personal guides. They're also cosmic warriors, defenders of truth, protectors of the world, and part of Ahura Mazda's celestial team. When darkness creeps in, when Ahriman stirs the pot, the Fravashis rise, not with swords, but with light, love, and unshakable loyalty. They protect the living. They guide the dead. They linger in places where goodness once bloomed, and they never, ever give up on you, even when you do. Some myths say humans were sculpted from clay. Others say we fell from stars. Persian mythology, it says we were imagined, and then gently nudged into existence, like a cosmic daydream. Once upon a time, long after the cosmic egg cracked open, after the waters flowed and the stars found their sparkle, Ahura Mazda sat back and thought, something's missing. He had created the sky, the earth, the fire, the water. He had summoned the Amesha Spentus, whispered light into the corners of the universe, and even tolerated Angramenu's occasional tantrums. But still, something felt incomplete. So he dreamed again. This time he dreamed of humans, not perfect beings, not divine clones, just curious little creatures with hearts full of questions and feet that were always slightly too clumsy for cosmic elegance. Ahura Mazda didn't mold humans from clay. He thought them into being just like everything else. He imagined their minds, their souls, their potential, and then, like a painter adding the final brushstroke, he gave them free will. That was the twist. Humans weren't programmed to be good. They were invited to choose goodness, to walk the Chinvat Bridge every day, to listen to their Fravashi, to decide, moment by moment, whether they'd lean toward light or tumble into shadow. And because Ahura Mazda was wise, and maybe a little sentimental, he gave humans tools. He gave them fire to warm their homes, water to nourish their crops, stars to guide their travels, and stories, oh, so many stories, to remind them who they were. But Ahriman wasn't thrilled. He saw humans and thought, new targets. He whispered doubt. He stirred fear. He invented bad dreams and worse decisions. He made sure humans had just enough confusion to keep things interesting, and so began the divine experiment, a cosmic game of let us see what happens. Humans stumbled. They learned. They loved. They forgot. They remembered. They built temples and told tales, and sometimes, just sometimes, they chose light. That was enough. Because in Persian mythology, humans aren't judged for being flawless. They're honored for trying, for choosing, for waking up each day and saying, I'll do my best. Some flames burn to destroy, others burn to remember. In Persian mythology, fire doesn't just flicker, it listens. Long before humans discovered how to roast marshmallows or warm their toes by the hearth, fire was already sacred. Not just useful, not just bright, but divine. In the world of Persian mythology, fire isn't just an element, it's a messenger, a bridge between the mortal and the divine, a glowing thread that ties the earth to the heavens, like a cosmic hotline that crackles with truth. This sacred flame is called Atar, not a god exactly, but a holy presence, a living symbol of purity, truth, and Ahura Mazda's light. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rage, it simply burns, steadily, patiently, like a candle that never forgets its purpose. Zoroastrians, the followers of the ancient Persian faith, didn't worship fire. They honored it, protected it, built fire temples where flames were kept alive for generations, tended by priests, shielded from wind, and never allowed to go out. These weren't bonfires. They were eternal flames, glowing with reverence and quiet pride. But why fire? Because fire is honest. It reveals. It purifies. It doesn't pretend to be something it's not. You can't lie to fire. You can't bribe it. You can only stand before it and let it see you, clearly, warmly, without judgment. In rituals, fire was the witness, the silent observer of prayers, promises, and sacred moments. It didn't interrupt. It didn't demand. It just glowed, like a wise elder who's seen everything and still believes in you. And yes, fire had a cozy side too. It warmed homes, cooked meals, lit the way through dark nights. It was the original nightlight, a gentle reminder that even in the deepest shadows, something still burns with hope. In the mythological world of ancient Persia, where light and truth gently glow like bedside lamps, there also exist shadows, not to terrify, but to challenge, to stir, to disrupt your cosmic nap just enough to make you roll over and think. These shadows are called devas, the demons of Zoroastrian lore. But don't picture horned beasts or fire-breathing monsters. Persian demons are more subtle, more psychological, more annoying than terrifying. They're the little voices that nudge you toward impatience, the invisible gremlins that make you forget your better judgment, the cosmic tricksters who specialize in drowsy disruptions, not full-blown chaos, just enough mischief to make you question your path. Each daiva has a specialty. There's one for lies, who gently twists your words until even you aren't sure what you meant. One for greed, who whispers, maybe take just a little more. No one's watching. One for anger, who pokes your ribs when someone cuts in line. And one for despair, who dims the lights and says, why bother? They don't roar. They don't chase. They just linger. But here's the twist. In Persian mythology, demons aren't invincible. They're temporary. They thrive on neglect, on forgetfulness, on moments when you forget your Fravashi is watching from the corner with a raised eyebrow. The cure? Awareness, choice, a gentle return to light. Ahura Mazda doesn't send thunderbolts to banish demons. He sends clarity, a good thought, a kind word, a moment of stillness. And just like that, the devas lose their grip, like shadows fading when someone finally opens the curtains. Some prophets shout from mountaintops. Zoroaster just asked, what if we tried being good, on purpose? In the soft twilight of ancient Persia, when myths still wandered the earth, and stars hadn't yet settled into constellations, a man named Zoroaster sat quietly beside a fire, thinking. He wasn't born with thunder. He didn't arrive with miracles. He simply grew up asking questions, Why do good things happen? Why do bad things happen? Why do people forget to be kind when it's clearly the better option? Zoroaster, also known as Zarathustra, wasn't just a thinker, he was a listener. He listened to the wind, the silence, the stories told by elders, and the quiet voice inside that whispered, "There must be more." And one day, in a moment that felt like both a blink and a lifetime, he received a vision, not of golden thrones or flaming swords, but of Ahura Mazda, the wise lord of light, the one who had imagined the universe into being, the one who believed in free will, truth, and gentle order. Ahura Mazda didn't give Zoroaster a list of rules. He gave him a framework, a way of seeing the world through three sleepy but powerful ideas. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. That was it. No cosmic riddles, no divine loopholes, just a simple, elegant path toward light. Zoroaster took this message and began to share it, not with fire and fury, but with calm conviction. He spoke to kings, farmers, wanderers, and skeptics. He didn't demand belief. He invited it, like offering someone a warm blanket and saying, "Try this. It helps." His teachings became the foundation of Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, a faith built not on fear, but on choice, on the idea that every soul matters, that every moment is a chance to lean toward light. And though centuries have passed, and empires have risen and fallen, Zoroaster's voice still echoes, soft, steady, curious. Some hymns are sung in temples, others are whispered by stars. The Gathas are both. In the hush of ancient Persia, when fires flickered and minds wandered toward the divine, a series of verses began to take shape. Not loud, not boastful, but gentle, like lullabies, written in the language of light. These verses were called the Gathas. They weren't written by scribes in golden ink. They weren't carved into stone by thunderous decree. They were composed by Zoroaster himself, the quiet prophet who preferred questions over commands and poetry over politics. The Gathas are the core hymns of Zoroastrianism. 5 poetic chapters, each one a soft meditation on truth, choice, goodness, and the eternal dance between light and shadow. They're not easy to read, not because they're complicated, but because they're deep, like trying to understand the ocean by listening to its waves. Each Gatha is a conversation between Zoroaster and Ahura Mazda, between the soul and the universe, between the seeker and the silence. They ask things like, what does it mean to live well? How do we choose light when darkness feels easier? What is the purpose of a soul that dreams? But they don't give answers, not directly. They invite you to listen, to reflect, to drift into thought the way one drifts into sleep, slowly, softly, with no need to arrive. The Gathas were meant to be recited, not just read, spoken aloud in fire temples, murmured in quiet homes, carried on the breath like sacred wind. Their rhythm is ancient. Their tone is timeless. Their message is simple. Choose well, live gently, and remember that you are part of something vast and kind. Even today, thousands of years later, the Gathas still echo, not in stadiums or headlines, but in hearts, in quiet moments, in the pause before sleep, when your mind asks, did I do my best today? Some cultures measure time in seconds. Persian mythology measures it in size, seasons, and sacred circles. In the mythic world of ancient Persia, time wasn't a straight line. It didn't march forward with urgency or tick impatiently, like a wristwatch waiting for lunch. Time was circular, sacred, a cosmic rhythm that pulsed through creation like a heartbeat wrapped in starlight. The Zoroastrian view of time is both practical and poetic. It divides existence into cycles, vast stretches of cosmic unfolding, each one a chapter in the universe's sleepy autobiography. The grand cycle begins with creation, when Ahura Mazda imagines the world into being. Then comes the mixing, when Ahriman sneaks in and stirs the pot. After that, the separation, when good and evil begin their slow-motion pillow fight. And finally, the purification, when light triumphs and the universe sighs in relief. But these aren't just mythic phases. They echo in daily life too. The Zoroastrian calendar is filled with festivals, each one marking a moment of cosmic significance. There's Nowruz, the Persian New Year, celebrated at the spring equinox, when day and night shake hands and agree to share. It's a time of renewal, reflection, and really good snacks. There's Marigan, honoring Mithra and the balance of light. Sadeh, celebrating fire and the triumph of warmth over winter. And Chaharshambe Suri, a fire-jumping festival that feels like the universe saying, leap into the light. It's okay. I've got you. Even the days of the week carry spiritual weight. Each one is dedicated to a divine force, a virtue, a whisper of cosmic intention. Time isn't just something you pass. It's something you participate in. And here's the dreamy part. Persian mythology doesn't treat time as a trap. It treats it as a teacher, a gentle guide, a reminder that everything, even confusion, even chaos, is part of a larger unfolding, that every moment is a thread in a tapestry too vast to see, but too beautiful to ignore. Every great story needs a final chapter. In Persian mythology, that chapter arrives not with a bang, but with a whisper. It's time. Somewhere in the distant folds of time. Not tomorrow, not next week, but in a moment that feels like the universe taking a deep breath. A figure will rise. Not a warrior in shining armor, not a thunder-wielding god, but a Saoshyant, the Redeemer, the Awakener, the one who gently presses the cosmic snooze button on evil and says, that's enough now, let's clean up. In Zoroastrian belief, the Saoshyant is the final hero, the last chapter, the one who arrives at the end of the great cycle to restore the world, not by force, but by truth, not with fire, but with light. He's not born in a palace. He doesn't descend from the stars with a dramatic soundtrack. He comes from humble beginnings, like most real heroes do, and he carries with him the wisdom of the ages, the teachings of Zoroaster, the whispers of the Fravashis, the warmth of the sacred fire. When the Saoshyant appears, the world will be tired, worn down by centuries of choices, struggles, and sleepy battles between good and not so good. But he won't scold. He won't shame. He'll simply gather the willing, awaken the weary, and begin the final healing. He'll defeat Ahriman, not with violence, but with clarity, with the full force of truth, compassion, and cosmic patience. Evil won't be destroyed in a blaze. It will be undone, like a bad dream, fading in the morning light. And then, the world will be renewed. No more lies, no more suffering. Just a world in balance, where fire warms, water flows, and every soul walks the Shinvat Bridge with ease. A world where time no longer rushes, but rests. Where every being is at peace, and every story ends with a smile. Some endings come with fire, some with floods. Persian mythology prefers a quiet, curtain call with a final sigh and a cosmic blanket. Let's talk about the end. Not your end, not my end, not even the end of your favorite snack stash. We're talking about the end of the world. The grand finale, the cosmic exhale, the moment when time stretches, yawns, and says, I think I'm done now. But don't worry, it's not happening tonight. In Persian mythology, the end of the world isn't a disaster movie. It's not a meteor crashing into Earth or a dramatic villain pressing a big red button. It's more like the universe deciding it's time to clean up, rest, and maybe take a long nap. This ending is called Frashokareti, the final renovation. It's not destruction, it's restoration, a divine spring cleaning, a cosmic spa day. Here's how it unfolds. The Saoshyant, the Redeemer we met in chapter 17, arrives, not with fanfare, but with purpose. He gently wakes the world from its long, chaotic dream. Ahriman, the grumpy god of chaos, finally runs out of tricks. He's not defeated in battle. He's unraveled, like a bad mood that finally lifts. The dead rise, not in fear, but in joy. They walk the Chinvat Bridge again, this time with ease. No judgment, just reunion. The world is purified. Evil is scrubbed away. Lies dissolve. Shadows stretch and vanish. Even the stars seem to blink in relief. And then, time stops. Not forever, just long enough for the universe to rest, to bask in its own goodness, to enjoy the silence after the symphony. No more suffering, no more confusion, just a world in balance, where fire warms, water flows, and every soul glows gently with peace. It's the end of the world, but not in fear, in fulfillment, in completion, in a soft, sleepy sigh that says, we did it. Every myth needs a finale. Persian mythology ends not with fire and fury, but with light and a very soft blanket. After all the dreaming, all the choosing, all the sleepy battles between truth and trickery, the light returns. Not suddenly, not with a blinding flash, but slowly, gently, like sunrise creeping across a quiet room, like a warm hand reaching for yours in the dark. This is the cosmic reboot. In Zoroastrian mythology, the final victory of good isn't a dramatic showdown. It's a restoration, a return to what was always meant to be. The world doesn't explode, it exhales. Evil doesn't scream, it fades. And every soul, every spark, every sleepy traveler finally gets what they've been waiting for. Peace. The Saoshyant, the Redeemer, finishes his work. Ahriman, the grumpy god of chaos, is undone, not punished, just gently removed from the story, like a plot twist that no longer fits. The Chinvat Bridge widens, the sacred fire glows, and the universe, at last, feels whole. But here's the dreamy twist. Everyone gets a celestial blanket. Not literally, though wouldn't that be nice? It's a metaphorical blanket, woven from light, truth, and the quiet joy of knowing you made it. It wraps around every soul. It hums with ancient hymns. It smells like starlight and kindness. In this rebooted world, time no longer rushes. It rests. Souls no longer struggle. They shine. The earth no longer aches. It sings. It's not just the end of evil. It's the beginning of everything good. Finally free to bloom without interruption. All stories end. But Persian mythology doesn't it to slam the book shut. It lets the last page float into dreams. You've wandered through the stars of ancient Persia. You've met gods who whisper, demons who sulk, fires that listen, and bridges that judge with kindness. You've watched the world begin in a cosmic egg, wobble through choices, and slowly stretch toward light. Now, it's time to rest. But before you drift off completely, let's take one last walk. Not through temples or timelines, but through dreams. The kind of dreams that Persian mythology loves best. Quiet, symbolic, and full of meaning that doesn't need to be explained. In these dreams, Ahura Mazda sits beside a river made of light. He doesn't speak. He just watches the ripples, each one a soul, a choice, a moment of truth. His gaze is calm, his presence warm. You feel safe here. Ahriman is there too, but not as a threat. He's curled up in a shadow, finally quiet. His chaos has run its course. Even grumpy gods need rest. The Amisha Spentus drift by like constellations. Vohumana hums a lullaby of good thoughts. Asha Vahishta gently folds the edges of your dream into order. Spenta Armaiti plants flowers in your mind. Horvatad pours water into your heart. Ameritat wraps you in vines of immortality. Kshatra Vairya polishes the stars. And Spenta Manu lights a candle that never goes out. Mithra rides across the sky, not to wake you, but to guard your sleep. His chariot leaves trails of gold across your dreams. Anahita flows through your thoughts like a sacred stream, washing away worry, leaving only peace. You cross the Chinvat Bridge again, not because you must, but because you want to. It's wider now, softer. It feels like walking on memory foam made of moonlight. The Fravashis hover nearby, smiling. They've watched you grow. They've seen your choices. They're proud of you, even when you stumbled, especially when you tried again. And in the distance, the Saoshyant waves, not to summon you, but to remind you. The story isn't over. It's just resting. Like you. Because Persian mythology doesn't end with a bang. It ends with a dream, a gentle goodbye, a cosmic whisper that says, you are part of this. You always were. So tonight, as you close your eyes, let the gods tuck you in. Let the myths hum in your chest. Let the stories settle like stardust on your pillow. You've traveled far. You've listened well. You've dreamed deeply. Now, sleep. Good night, little spark of eternity.